Welcome students. I am Dr. A. Aravalli, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of History, Sri Sharada College for Women, Autonomous, Salem 16. Today we are going to see the topic Rajiv Gandhi's domestic and foreign policies. Introduction. Early life. Rajiv Gandhi was the youngest Prime Minister of India, perhaps even one of the youngest elected heads of government in the world. His mother, Srimati Indira Gandhi, was 8 years older when she first became Prime Minister in 1966. His illustrated grandfather, Jawaharlal Nehru, was 58 years when he started the long innings of 70 years as Free India's first Prime Minister. As the harbinger of a generational change in the country, Sri Gandhi received the biggest mandate in the nation's history. He ordered elections to the Lok Sabha, the directly elected house of the Indian Parliament, as soon as morning for his slain mother was over. In that election, the Congress got a much higher proportion of the popular vote than in the preceding 7 elections and captured a record 401 seats out of 508. Sri Rajiv Gandhi was born on August 20th, 1944 in Bombay. He was just 3 when India became independent and his grandfather became Prime Minister. His parents moved to New Delhi from Lucknow. His father Feroz Gandhi became an MP and earned a reputation as a fearless and hardworking parliamentarian. The new Prime Minister. Following the assassination of Indira Gandhi on 31st October 1984, the Congress Parliamentary Party passed a resolution recommending Rajiv Gandhi as the party's candidate for the post of Prime Minister and recommending his name to the President. The President Sardar Zail Singh administered the oath of office to Rajiv Gandhi and his 4 cabinet colleagues to the to the same evening in a simple ceremony in a Ashok Hall, Rashtrapati Bhavan. The first meeting of the new cabinet was held in the Rashtrapati Bhavan itself 31st October. Rajiv Gandhi was a eventful Prime Minister. He was the first Prime Minister of India, perhaps if any democratic country, who had nothing to do with politics. Domestic policy, new economic policy, fourfold strategy. Rajiv Gandhi was neither happy with the mixed economy or with the pampering of public sector undertakings. He wanted to bring about radical changes in the political economic system he had inherited. He therefore decided the liberalized and socialist system of license and controls to suit the needs of globalization, modernization, and urbanization. He formulated a fourfold strategy to prepare the country to enter into 21st with 21st century with confidence, to open the economy to free enterprise and market mechanism, to introduce modern management methods, to clean up administration and to democratize and revitalize the ruling party. Technology missions. One of the igneous innovative policy initiatives was the setting up of technology missions. Guided by Sam Pizzardo, 6 technology missions were established. First one, the drinking water mission. Second one, the literacy mission. Third one, the immunization mission. Fourth one, the white revolution mission. Fifth one, the edible oil mission. And sixth one, the telephone mission. This technology-oriented mission were problem-solving time-bound projects. Their applied science and technology solved the perennial problem of providing safe, protected women and children, promoting milk production, increasing edible oil production, and to bring one of the telephone to every village in India by the end of the 20th century. Computerization. Thanks to telecom revolution, telephone counters came up in towns and villages in India. India was punctuated by public call offices. Computer station programming did not lag behind. It marched first in hand with the telecom expansion. Rajiv Gandhi brushed aside criticism and pushed through computerization project. He encouraged domestic producers by cutting import duties on computer components. Foreign manufacturers were allowed to enter the domestic market. Computers were introduced in offices and educational institutions. In short, Rajiv Gandhi inaugurated the information and communication revolution. New economy. To translate his new vibrant economy thoughts into action, Rajiv Gandhi appointed VP Singh, his finance minister, gave him full freedom to carry forward his new reformist economic policy and made him the most powerful minister next only to the prime minister. VP Singh took up his job seriously and pursued his progressive policy of the crushing convictions. He declared war on the corrupt businessmen, ordered police raids on the Delhi residents of the captions of industries, attempted to uncover evidences of evasion, unearthed illegal foreign bank accounts, and found out illegal importing of goods without proper license. His intention was flush out black money and to make the business community right and straight. VP Singh was rightly regarded as a Savarnarla who would burn down Florence rather than allow sin to prosper. Since the finance minister was overstepping his limits, Rajiv Gandhi forced VP Singh out of the cabinet in April 1987, and he was given the defense portfolio. VP Singh fell a victim of his own campaign against corruption, black money, and scandals. New Education Policy 1986. National Policy on Education. The Parliament in 1986 adopted the National Policy on Education. 23 task forces examined the existing situation and submitted their support in July 1986. The programme of action was drawn on the basis of these reports. The chief characteristics of the new education policy NEP were organizational flexibility, relevance of curriculum, diversity in learning activities to relate them to learns and needs, decentralization of management. Priority had been towards effective universalization of elementary education, reduction of illiteracy and skill development, vocationalization of education, preparation of manpower required for developmental needs, improvement in quality at all levels, scientific and technological research. In pursuance of the national education policy formulated in 1968, the Rajiv Gandhi government reviewed the shortcomings and achievements of educational policies and programs and attempted the revamp the entire educational edifice to cope with future challenges and the accelerating pace of change. The Parliament during the budget session in 1986 discussed and adopted the National Policy on Education 1986. The National Education Policy NEP laid greatest emphasis on elimination of disparities in the educational system and on improvement in the quality of publicly funded schools. Operation Blackboard. The national education policy with specific proposals was implemented with speed and determination. Operation Blackboard was launched with the object of providing minimum essential facilities on primary schools. The word operation implied the urgency of the programming. The goals were clear and well defined. The and the government were determined to achieve the goals within a predetermined time frame. In the words of program of action document, the Operation Blackboard was undertaken to demonstrably improve accommodation and facilities in underprovided primary schools in rural and well as urban areas. Operation Blackboard envisaged: first one, two reasonably large rooms; second one, necessary toys and games material; third one, blackboards; fourth one, maps; fifth one, charts; sixth one, another learning materials. Navodaya Vidyalaya. The programming of starting Navodaya Vidyalayas had two aspects. One was for the potentially higher achievers and the others was for the gifted students who can be expected to make original contribution in their subject areas. This was the merit-based program for the gifted students of rural India. It was proposed to start Navodaya Vidyalaya in each district throughout of the country during the 7th 5-year plan period. Autonomous colleges. The education policy gave a good push to scheme of autonomous colleges. This scheme envisaged and about 500 such colleges should be developed during the 7th plan period, and more important, the existing uncreative and outmoded affiliating system shall be replaced by the new system. To achieve this objective, the University Acts were to be amended. De-linking degree from jobs. Another innovative schemes envisaged by the new education policy was to de-link university degree from the requirement or requirement to services, and also these measures will lead to refashioning of job specific courses. Several stages were formulated to match higher education with employment. Open University and Distance Education. The NEP, National Education Policy, favored the open university system in it. Arguments opportunities for higher education, ensure access, it cost effective and promote a flexible and innovative system of education. The Indira Gandhi Open University IGNOU, established by an Act of Parliament in September 1985, was responsible for the introduction and promotion of open university and distance education. Besides the university departments, addressing a gathering at Madras Christian College on 27 March 1987, Rajiv Gandhi observed that the ability of the individual was the main concentration in the new education policy. That Navodaya Vidyalayas were the first major egalitarian step that had been taken in bringing quality education to the poorest and weakest section, and that delinking degrees would make employment worthwhile even for those without a university degree. Research and development. Planned promotion of research and development R&D was the integral part of new education program. The NEP laid great importance to R&D, research and development, in the areas of natural and social science, humanities, engineering, agriculture, and medical science. The new national policy identified main problems and shortcomings and infrastructural inadequacies of suggested remedial measures. The action points were: research, first one, research as an integral part of higher education institution; second one, ensuring high quality of research; third one, engaged support for research; fourth one, networking, collaboration, linkage, coordination, policy, and planning. This action point were fitted in the meticulously planned time frame. Foreign policies. Rajiv Gandhi foreign policies. Uh, Foreign policies. First one, Indo-Soviet relations. Rajiv Gandhi's sixth-day visit to the Soviet Union in May 1985 resulted in signing two important bilateral agreements on economic cooperation. Rajiv Gandhi's visit to Moscow, Mikhail Gorbachev, General Secretary of Soviet Union, paid a four-day visit to India on 25 to 28 November 1986. During his visit, two leaders signed several important agreements, issued a joint statement, and more important a 10-point declaration known as New Delhi Declaration. Indo-Sri Lanka relations. During the Prime Minister of Rajiv Gandhi, Indo-Sri Lanka relations were bogged down in the Khmer of ethnic problem of the Iceland country. The summit between Rajiv Gandhi and President Jayawardene of Sri Lanka on June 1985, New Delhi centered around a negotiated political settlement on the ethnic problem. The Timpu talks between the official of the two countries held in the July 1985 failed to find a political solution. The military solution of Sri Lanka government April 1987 pushed the Iceland to a state of civil war. On 4 June 1987, Indian Air Force carried out the relief mission to Jaffna and air trapped relief supplies. On 12 July 1987, Sri Lanka Army launched another massive operation in Mullaitivu district to crush Tamil militant separatism. India once again called upon Sri Lanka government to come up with new autonomy proposals for the country Tamil ethnic community. As a result, India and Sri Lanka signed a historic Indo-Sri Lanka Pact on 29th July 1987. The main militant Tamil separatist group LITE was not a signatory to the pact. Thus, the accord was praised, it promised national reconciliation. The Sinhalese extremists and Buddhist monks contempted it as a sellout. When Rajiv Gandhi visited Sri Lanka on 2nd August 1987, he escaped from an attempt on his life, a member of the Naval Honor Guard of Sri Lanka Navy. Indo-Nepal relations. Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi extended his hands of friendship to the Himalayan kingdom. When the King of Nepal visited in 1986, the two countries reviewed the relations. Despite difference over zone of the peace status of our Nepal, both leaders decided to continue their friendly cooperation in trade, culture, and technology. Nepal expressed on concern about India was providing efficient transit facilities for Nepal trade and felt India was demining India's support to the pro-democracy movement. Nepal further strained the relations between the countries. As a result in the Indo-Nepal relations had become uneasy, if not unfriendly. Indo-Bangladesh relations. The Indo-Bangladesh Ganga water sharing problem remained a thorn in the flesh of friendly relations between the two neighbors. The Ganga Water Accord was valid up to October in 1985. On 18th October 1985, Rajiv Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi and Bangladesh President H.M. Ershad met at Bahamas and later signed a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) on 22nd July 1985. New Delhi had brokered a statement. The MOU was another feather in friendly cap of Rajiv Gandhi. Indo-Myanmar relations. In 1979, Myanmar withdrew from the non-aligned movement NAM. When India assumed the chairmanship of NAM in 1989, Myanmar was inclined to joining the NAM. Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi visited Myanmar in 1988 and encouraged the head of the state in favor of joining the movement. He well meant efforts bore fruit in 1992 when Myanmar rejoined NAM. Conclusion. Rajiv Gandhi had the advantage of having considerable political, administrative, and diplomatic advantage when he was captured to the Prime Minister post of India. Rajiv Gandhi government supported for science and technology and associated industries and reduced important import goods tax and tariffs on technology based industries, especially computers, airlines, defense, and telecommunications. Thank you.